Hi there everyone, welcome along to another live stream here with me, Jenny Kirk,
and me, Les Cliff.
And
the Covered Monkey.
And Happy New Year to everybody. Yeah, and
Covered Monkey is in as well. So anyway, those of you who caught us earlier on today, well, caught me, we went live at, it actually ended up being about 8:45, having loads of troubles just getting OBS, the software that we use, working. We did do that. We got access to the Hornby site on the time of the release and went through all of those things. And as you probably witnessed, I was like a kiddie in a sweetie shop. But yeah, it was all good fun. And we're back now with a little bit more structured events. This is the regular
with
Monday. Well, yeah, actually, we haven't seen you since last year.
No.
So,
I've aged quite well over the Christmas period.
You have, yeah. You've done better than me.
You've had your hair cut. Have you not?
Had I not had my hair
No,
cut
my wife noticed it. She said Jenny's had her hair done. So
yes, I did actually. Yeah, it was just getting my hair itself is quite thin.
Yeah.
It runs in the family. All my family members do. So what it means is, when my hair gets quite long, it looks terrible.
Right.
And I realised I hadn't had my hair cut since just before we went off to Scotland to film Biggest Little Railway.
2 years.
So it was about 2 years.
Yes.
So it was long overdue.
Right.
And
Well, it does suit you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, because I know you have this sort of worry about your hair and everything.
I
but
do,
my
yeah,
wife
because
noticed
my hair's quite thin.
Yeah.
It,
Not like mine.
I mean, if you let yours
Although I've got
grow,
a bald spot patch coming at the back. Apparently, that's
Okay,
that's with stress.
But stress. Oh my! Oh no! But I mean, your hair strikes me as it's got the kind of body that if you let it grow,
Well,
you'd have an afro.
Well, yeah,
You'd
I
be
know.
like the fifth member of the Jackson.
When it needs cutting, my wife sticks a broom up my bottom and uses me to sweep the floor.
Too much information.
Like earworms.
Oh, stop it! Behave yourself, Les. Anyhow, we've got a BNT model rail. I got there just before the crash. The Hornby site went manic this morning. It always does every year, and I'll be honest with you, top prediction is that the Bachman site will do the same on the 5th of February. But we were lucky. We were kind of in before the rush, which meant that we could. It was like navigating through treacle, but it was still working.
Is there a kind of an ethical way that the different companies put out their promotions? I mean, why Bachman a month later and bringing theirs out? Is there?
I have no idea.
You know,
it used to be they'd all do it at the London Toy Fair,
yeah.
But it doesn't really quite work like that anymore. So Ned's Train says hi. Keithy P says just come from watching your announcement video. Yeah, that's the video we were just talking about. Lakota the Ralph, will you be ordering the packet? The anniversary packet, I think I might do actually. I do like the look of that. And also the Dowlice works as well, because that was actually like 5 minutes. I think it's a Timplate works. It was about 5 minutes down the road from where my grandparents lived.
Right.
Keithy P also just come from pre-ordering a 5-car APT. Model Train Fan 102, hi to you. Otis JB, hi to you.
Hello, hi.
Wolfie Wolf, good to have you there.
Hey up, hey up,
hey up.
hey up.
Happy New Year.
Eli Gum.
Happy New Year
Yeah.
to you as well. Trevor Sowie says, good evening, Jenny and Zoe and Les. Nice to see that you've calmed down. Yeah, I was like doing my flappy thing, which is actually quite hard for me to do these days because I'm getting arthritis in my wrists.
I didn't actually see the launch initially because I was a good boy. I was in the swimming baths doing a mile. Well, I didn't do a mile this morning. I did 50 lengths, so I couldn't come on the early morning show.
So, so this is a lot of what we're going to be looking through now is fairly new to you. So
Yes,
it'd be great
yes.
because we'll hopefully get from you the kind of reactions
You will.
that I got earlier this morning. But first of all, just a few things that's coming up. We've got Callum Wilcox, hopefully, on the line to interview him about his thoughts about the Hornby release and to get the perspective of somebody who works for a magazine. He works for Railway Modeller. So hopefully we'll be able to get hold of him at about 7:30. We're going to do an interview
Is
with
his sister
him.
coming on as well to sing a song? Told her.
I don't think it's his sister. I'm very sorry, Callum. We can't control him. He's had himself an Irish coffee, and he's like woo. And then at 8:30, we're going to get the perspective of another prominent YouTuber. Hopefully, we're going to be able to get Cottismore on. You might remember him from the stream before last.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
Yeah, so he's been on a few of the streams. as a guest in the studio. But hopefully we'll be able to get him on the line as well, and we'll hopefully be able to... Oh, speak of the devil, there we are, Cottesmore, stress alopecia, being there still.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, I had an ex at university who had that, and she had it really quite bad, actually. So it can be quite nasty.
Mine comes and goes, but the stress is just related to living and working in Bolton and the business and everything. But it will go. It'll improve in the next year.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, it's not a train coming straight at me.
No. Brian Mozza says, "Hi Jenny, back again. I've ordered the rocket. I think a lot of people will have ordered the rocket, and I'm gonna bring up. Let's see. There we are. We've got the Hornby site up. So let's just see now. Is it going to be broken? Waiting for Hornby. One of the things that I will do is I will, again, for some reason, Zoe's got her thingy set up weirdly. Right, let's have a look. I use the, where's Hornby? Bish, Bash, Bosh, Boosh, Hornby. Is it Hornby? I do use the RM website a lot. Andy York runs this. I think it's part of BRM. But, he split everything out now. Where's Hornby 2020? Hornby... No, he split them all down. He did have them all as one thread.
Is that the new rocket? Is that the one?
Yeah, well, let's go and have a look at that. And I want to... Oh, thank you very much. I want to talk a little bit about... Let's just see. Has the Hornby page turned up yet? Actually, it has. So we're going to go back to the Hornby site, and let's talk through these as they go. So what you're seeing is what I was seeing first thing this morning.
On Excitovision.
Yeah, on Excitovision. And... actually, we're going to have to scroll down a bit, I think, before we get to the really standout stuff. This was an interesting one, the BR Standard 2MT. This is... I'm trying to think... No, it's the Ivet that Bachmann do. I'm getting confused. I think this is slightly different from the Ivet. This is the Riddle Standard. So actually, I was wrong this morning. I was talking about this as if they were going head-to-head with Bachmann, but actually they're not. That's subtle.
Can I interject here and just ask what to many people will be a silly question, but what does it mean, Era 5, Era 8? I have no idea.
Right, the era system, it's a way of telling what period in time a particular model is good for. It's not 100% accurate. Sometimes they get them wrong, but so like Era 1 is pioneering.
Right.
So later on, the rocket
yeah.
is in Era 1, and it's I think the rocket's the only model that's been released that fits into that time bracket.
Right.
Then Era 2 is pre-grouping, so that's up to 1923. Era 3 is 1923 through to nationalisation in 1948. Era 4 is BR early crest. Era 5 is BR late crest. Era 6 is pre-tops BR blue. Era 7 is tops BR blue. Era 8 is sectorisation. So it's still British Railways, but stuff like mainline, intercity, things like that.
So what era would sort of 1956 through to, say, 1980s cover? That would be era...
That would be era 6, 7 and 8.
Right. Just for my own record, for the kind of engines I would be looking at. Because...
Yeah, but I mean, it's not hard and fast. It's not like on the date that they changed over. They went out in force and just repainted everything. So, for example, when nationalisation happened, a lot of the locomotives fairly quickly took on their new identities.
Right.
Coaches as well, to some extent. But like freight stock, it would be possible to still see like Southern Railway or Great Western Railway lettered wagons looking increasingly more down at heel into the early 50s, if not beyond.
Yeah.
Now, somebody's asked there in the comments there, what rocket should I order? What's the difference? I believe that they're all the same, The difference you're going to get...
Isn't it? I heard something about size. The old rocket is much bigger looking, not to scale. This is 176, as opposed to whatever the other one was.
They did do a
larger
live
looking.
steam one, which was something different that they did in, I think it was the 70s.
Right.
So it's gonna chug a lot. So we're gonna try and go backwards and forward. I'm also gonna get up Rails of Sheffield. I know somebody suggested that I go and use the Hatton's website, but actually John Barber of Rails of Sheffield very kindly offered to get some video footage. We were going to be getting him on to get a retailer's perspective, but he's been called away. They're doing they're being taken out for a meal with people from Hornby, so he wasn't able to come on. But obviously, because he's been so good to us, we're going to use the Rails site. And if you're wanting to pre-order stuff, then if you head on over to the Rails of Sheffield site, they've got the full range up to pre-order, and we're starting to get some pictures coming through, as you're seeing here. And in turn, it gives you a kind of a price guideline. I'm expecting Hatton's is probably going to be much the same prices. So it's horses for courses in a way. Basically, just give me one moment. There we are. Basically, it's a case of whichever is your personal favourite, but at the moment we're just we're going to go through the Rails site. So one of the big things actually was the retro packaging. Had you seen much of this retro packaging?
Only what I've just seen very briefly when I quickly scanned this morning, but no, I don't remember, even though I had Hornby trained, packaging didn't mean anything to me. Like, it doesn't really much
You
now.
just rip the box off and it goes in the
Unlike
bin.
James May packaging, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Actually, just to go back quickly to the question about the rocket, the ones that are available at the moment, I think one's in a presentation pack, and the other one is just in a regular box. So if you want the fancy box, you go for the slightly more expensive one. If all you want is the model itself, then just go for the slightly cheaper one. The model itself, as far as I'm aware, is the same model. But we've got here, this one's interesting. You'll see my mouse pointer circling it. The Rovex box.
That's like what all model trains will go back to, isn't it? It's the...
Well, the thing about this is, as far as I recall, this is the first time Rovex produced their own 00 gauge model railway. Now, Rovex became Triang, Triang became Triang Hornby, Triang Hornby became Hornby. And then sort of in parallel to Rovex and Triang was Hornby 00. So it's very, very convoluted. And Hornby O gauge was part of Hornby 00 branch of things. But I believe they made this for Christmas one year for Marks and Spencer's. Excuse me. And what I have to stress is that the models in the box aren't the same models from way back when. I believe that the original model that they produced for Marks and Spencer's was a bit woeful. If you find one nowadays, they're worth a fortune because they didn't last. But it's nice to see this retro packaging, and what's going to be in there is something that is actually going to be a much more modern model. Similarly, next to that, the Hornby 00 trains box here, where we've got the A4 Pacific and the Teak coaches. That's going to be, as far as I'm aware, the Super Detail A4 Pacific and a couple of the Super Detail coaches. So the packaging really does look nice, and I've seen an actual photograph of some of the Hornby 00 packaging, and it does look really, really nice. So I'm really looking forward to some of these. Let's have a look at some of the comments. Brian Master, the Dowlice Ironworks packet is from Merthyr Tydfil. Yeah, it's just up the valley from where my grandparents were. Otis JB. Oh, right. So that's answering about the rocket set. Keithy P. One thing Hornby aren't doing very well is the launch webpage with everything categorised that they did in the late 2000s. Yeah, I think some manufacturers do have trouble with getting websites together. James Hardy, Hornby are not releasing the Alfred and Judy Bagnalls as far as I've seen. And in 1962, oh my God, there's going to be an expensive. Yeah, I bailed out of the putting together my dream pre-orders at the point that I had about.
It won't be expensive for me because I've got to curtail I've got to move house and everything, so it might be more expensive in a year's time, but I have to wait and see.
But let's have a look now. The yellow submarine train set does look nice. The tie-in with the Beatles. And I think a lot of these things, it's about appealing to outside of the studious modelling market. And I'm going to come on to the steampunk stuff later on. Just keeping an eye on time. Don't let me get past 7:30 because I need to try and get
Where's the time thing?
just there.
Right.
I need to make sure that I get Callum on the phone in good time because he's currently in a hotel room because he's down at work in Beer in Devon. I think it's Beer, or is it Seaton? He's working
You're not in a pub having a beer then?
Oh, I don't know. He's only a young lad, a young whippersnapper, but he works for Railway Modeller. So it'll be interesting to get the magazine's perspective on this. So, magazines in general, what the press, that's the word I was looking for, think about this range. Because as an enthusiast and an actual modeller, I'm very impressed. And actually the models, which don't necessarily appeal to me because they're outside of my modelling interest, I can nonetheless
appreciate
see the genius and the market for them. And it would be interesting to get the point of view of what the press think on this matter. They're not neglecting their core market. We've got the Flying Scotsman set there as well. I mean, they recognise that it is a good core seller, so you don't want to neglect that. No. Then we've got the 6-wheel B2 Peckets, 2 new liveries of that. That's always good. They sold really well. So I think that is a really, really good thing. And then here we are. We're down to this is... You can see where I went mental before. I was like, well, I'll put one of them and one of them. So ignore where it says one in basket. That was just me sort of like spitballing what I'd love to buy. But this is the Stevenson's Rocket. Now, let's see. Can we bring up some details? What have we... I think at the moment we've only got the one picture of this. And I'm going to see, actually. I'm going to see if we can bring up some videos. Now, these were shot for me by John Barber of Rails. So, they're not highest of quality. I'm going to actually turn the sound down if I can. There we go. So it's outside of Hornby. And let's see, is there going to be more? Let's have a look. For some reason... that's me being thick. So, this was the steampunk stuff. So, again, not the highest of quality, but this was shot today inside Hornby. So we've got the Bassett Loke, revival of that brand, with the steampunk models. These have been developed in conjunction with Laurie Calvert, who you probably remember from Cato Pass, is the layout that he exhibits extensively. But it's something I've seen a lot of people poo-pooing this on the Model Rail Fora. And actually, for me, I think this is potentially a genius move. Now, we've all heard of the Battle Space Turbo set, and people wax lyrical about that. And you could argue that this is out of a similar mould to that. And actually, I think that what the people who were saying, oh, this will never work, this is rubbish, blah, 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 what they completely miss is the fact that actually these will appeal to a different
market, war gamers, people who are building Mad Max kind of scenarios and all that.
Well, I'm wondering
kind of
whether...
futuristic.
Definitely. But things like people who do Warhammer 40k, Games Workshop stuff, that's a whole big market. Games Workshop has a lot of high street presence, far more so in many ways than Hornby do. And this is a range that I can see them potentially... I mean, I'd hope they've already explored this, and maybe this is something we'll see getting stocked on the high street with Games Workshops shops or Warhammer or whatever they're called these days. And actually it opens up a whole new audience for models who wouldn't... these people, they want something to go with their Space Marines and their like Balgorg and Bloodthirster and Gene Stealers, all this sort of stuff, and that's perfect for that. So I've actually, in deference to, I've left my Cato Pass. No, I'm all right, thank you. I've left my Cato Pass badge upstairs, so I will dig that out for when I interview Laurie. It's going to be tomorrow. I tried to get Laurie on. Unfortunately, he's not available at the moment, so I'm not able to ask him about the steampunk range tonight during the live stream. But I'm hopefully going to see if I can arrange recording a video tomorrow, and that'll go out later in the week and give some of the background. And he's let me share some of his behind the scenes stuff, which I'm going to go and bring up later on. But I'm going to make the screen full. Let's make it full screen. Alt Command 3, and let me just show you guys this, just to show that yes, Jenny is into steampunk. You didn't know this. This is from one of Zoe's friends who does a webcomic, and it's a Corset Inspector badge from that particular steampunk series. So, and steampunk, I guess, and goth, which is what I was once upon a time. I know, hard to believe. I've got a tan now, but I did used to be a goth. They're not that far apart. I also did live action role play, reenactment, that kind of thing. So it's all good stuff. I played Warhammer as well when I was a kid. Let's have a look at some of the comments. David Barker, I also ordered from Hornby some of their Centenary items, mug, pen, badge, etc. But Hornby split my 11 item order into 11 separate orders and appear to have charged me £4.98 postage on each item. That is, I would contact them about that. That does seem a bit weird. Steampunk is weird sci-fi story set in a Victorian area but with modern type steam powered tech. It's like Space 1899 basically.
Yes.
Big hello there to Angus's Trains, Daryl Hearn, nice one, Nottingham Central Defo, and nice move by Hornby. Ian Ryan, Melchester Model Railway. It's just chugged off. Steampunk came before diesel punk, so I'm reliably informed. I think you're probably right on that. I think diesel punk is a later development. It's like a derivative, in a similar way that I guess goth was derived from the New Romantic. It was kind of like almost like a backlash to the New Romantics, which in turn were a backlash to punk.
Right.
So there we go. But
It's like a history lesson in here.
It is, yeah. Russell Benton, steampunk, big risk. Not sure who it's for. Don't Games Workshop only stock their own stuff? I see Hornby has a lot of clout, a lot of negotiations going on behind the scenes. Simon Kohler is certainly a very persuasive chap. Don't play poker with him, because when I asked him about a few things, his face let on nothing, even though
Got a good poker face.
A very good poker face, even though I correctly guessed, amongst other things, that the Hornby 00 packaging would make a comeback. So basically, it's I wouldn't play poker with him. Somerset Andy, hello to you all. Jenny, could you send me an email so I can send you the Class 47? Right, Somerset Andy. I have no idea how to send you an email. The only one thing I can suggest is that Zoe, could you go to the channel of Somerset Andy and find a way of contacting him? He wants to send me the loco he promised me. That's the only way I can think to do it, because at the moment, if I click on any links, it will mess up the live stream. I'm just checking on the time. How we're doing.
10 minutes.
Angus is trying. I don't know how you don't have a spammer. I think it means spanner. I think there's some kind of technical glitch going on at the moment. We've moved over to the Mac in the office to do this, because I need to be able to show pictures and video, things like that. So I'm not sure about that. It must be a technical glitch. Edward Allen, same happened to me with the postage, so I cancelled and went elsewhere. I suspect they wouldn't charge you all that, but it would be worth dropping them a line. They're very amenable if you drop them an email to getting that sorted. New Junction, hi to you. I did try to get you on if I could. Yeah, you haven't responded. Right, let me just... Right, I'm just looking at the time. Oh, we've still got a few more minutes. That's fine.
I'll keep an eye on it, John.
So, I'm just making sure that I've got people lined up for the interview. But, yeah, New Junction, a.k.a. Richard. I would love to get you on to get your point of view on all of this. I know you seemed a bit shy earlier on. We do want to get you on in person. It'd be great to get you up into the loft, into Weir Yard. Angus, I don't know what's going on. I honestly, I haven't done anything. So I can only assume it's a technical glitch or something. Andy in 1962, hi New Junction, thanks Richard for the Hornby Magazine 2020 collection review. Tim's Trains, I think Tim's Trains has lost his spanner as well. Just ordered my rocket and can't wait to get it and then display it on a diorama of that era. I'll be honest, I'm going to be getting one and I think it'll just be trundling around on Weir Yard. Alex Faxton, hey, it's Richard from New Junction. Yes, it is. But I've lost my place. Right, let's quickly take a look at... Now, you can see there the Hornby Double O packaging. These videos were supplied to me by John Barber of Rails of Sheffield, and is our man on the inside. He films with his phone upright, which is a cardinal sin, but you can see there in fabulous lo-fi all of the retro packaging in the flesh. So it's quite interesting. You can see there that the stuff is kind of ready to go. And in fact, there we are, the Duchess of Atholl. Now, can I just say at this stage, the Duchess of Atholl was never released. There's the promotional rocket pack, but the Duchess of Atholl was never released in the blue and white striped picture box. So just putting that out there. But it's just so nice to see some of these old retro box artwork making a comeback for one time only. And actually, the 9F as well, is making a reappearance. I think it's a last hurrah. And actually, there's the Peckett, the Centenary edition Peckett. We got time for another one. So I'm gonna have to. I think the Bachman event. I have got an initial invite to go with John and the rest of the gang from Rails of Sheffield. So I'll teach him how to turn his phone on its side. So that's
Put it in focus as well.
It's not that. I think it's just it's very, very low resolution.
Right.
I think he must have like an old BlackBerry or something. So BlackBerry phone, not like some kind of small compot or something. The Growler Blackwood Engage layout. These boxes take me back to the days of yore. Yeah, and oh yes, the replica template. Somebody's sending me pictures on my phone. Interesting. Melchester Model Railway. Jenny, according to Rail site, the presentation rocket isn't DCC ready, but the cheaper one is. I think that's probably... I'm going to say that's probably a misprint. Now, I did speak to Oliver Davies. Let's just have a look. There's no mention of DC-ness about this. I think that... I spoke to Oliver Davies, who's at Rails of Sheffield earlier today. And he was busy, along with a few other people there. I think Adam as well. Desperately typing all this information in. So I wouldn't read too much into that. I suspect that the rocket is DCC ready, all of them, because I can't believe that they'd make a special non-DCC ready one if they were making a DCC ready one. Ian Ryan, old BlackBerry or mouldy raspberry, yeah, something like that. But yeah, I am going to be ordering one of these. It has to be said. I haven't decided whether I'm going to have it in the presentation box or not. New Junction is let's have a look. Interesting. New Junction has sent me some amazing photographs, but unfortunately, Richard, I can't get them from the phone onto the computer at the moment. So yes, they are potentially helpful if I'd have had them about 40 minutes ago. But look, don't worry about it. Apparently, according to the technical monkey, that's not entirely true. No, hold on. We're going to have to hold off because I need to call up Callum Wilcox. So, let me just try and work it out. There we are. Right. This is like we're very sophisticated on this.
See, I left it on Wi-Fi because of the very obvious point that someone would send you something during the thing, and then you can Wi-Fi it to them.
Oh, actually, I think we've got this the wrong way around. That doesn't want to sit in my ear.
What would you like?
Coffee again, just normal.
Normal coffee.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, that fits a bit better. Right. We're now going to try, and this is. Let's just see. Can we? Hopefully, can people hear that? Hello? Hello, is that Callum?
It is indeed.
Hi, you're live on the air, don't swear.
All right.
Yeah, no worries. We thought it'd be great to be able to have a chat with you and just really get your perspective on the Hornby release schedule for 2020 from the point of view, I guess, from the press. Because, of course, those of you who are watching this stream, Callum works for Railway Modeller. I'm right in saying that, aren't I?
Yes.
No worries. So, I presume you went yourself to the press event, did you? Or certainly you've seen footage from the press event that was held. Was it December?
Yes, and I wasn't personally there at the time. I'd only literally just joined the team down at Beer, and basically we had a press preview as what the magazines do. So we could basically compile all the information together to get it in the magazines. So which has been released this Thursday, and basically all the information about the range will be in there. So we get sort of a little sneak preview. So we got time to type it all up, take photographs, and basically get all the facts right, and then compile it into an article.
Right. I presume at the time. What really blew you away? I mean, from the point of view of the press, I guess you get a different insight to what the enthusiasts and the modelers might, and you presumably get more of a sense of what commercially is a good idea and what maybe you think I don't know why they've done that. I mean, what for you really stands out from this release?
Well, for me personally, because as I mentioned, I've only recently joined the team, so really seeing the range from both an enthusiast point of view and, of course, a journalist point of view, I think the range this year has been a really, really good mix, personally. And they seem to have gone for a wide, varied range, which seems to please at least the majority of the main segments, if you know what I mean. So you got there's quite a few models that will please the steam enthusiast. There's certainly quite a few models that will please the modern era enthusiast as well. And then also you've got a few things that are completely off the wall, like the sci-fi range, which fingers crossed will hopefully encourage more people into the hobby.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw, just to touch on the steampunk range, when I saw that, my personal reaction was, wow, that it was so off the wall and so different. It's a bit like when Nintendo brought the Wii to the market, and it was so different. It tapped into a completely different market set that maybe wouldn't necessarily have otherwise been buying into into the market. I mean, do you get the sense that this is actually potentially tapping into something very different?
Yes, I personally, from my own point of view, I would say so. Yes, we've seen great success with the Great Model Railway Challenge, as yourself would know, and of course, as I found out as well when I took part in Series 1, and we found that the things that the television company were getting us to do on the show were not conventional model railways, and sort of taking part in the show, we sort of gathered that from the start. And it was great to see the response that the general public got, and the general public sort of not really got that sort of feel of like what extreme model railways is like, if you know what I mean, like everything pinpoint accurate and detail and stuff, but in the sense that something that's a bit off the wall will get people into it, and then hopefully get them onto the more sort of what we would call hardcore stuff in a way. And I'm hoping that range would do that.
Yeah, because Laurie Calvert was on Series 1 with you, and I believe that he's had a hand in developing these with Hornby. And I guess you found with Series 1 as well that there were layouts that kind of really captured the public's imagination. And I guess steampunk, with the Team Steampunk, really did that in Series 1 as well. I know in Series 2, one of the ones that keeps getting talked about is actually the crocheted trees from the Loco Ladies. And it's something that's so completely off the wall. You think, actually, I would never have thought of that. But it's it's somehow it really resonates with the public.
Yeah, precisely, and that's what I feel Hornby are going for here. They're what they're doing is capitalising on that sort of extra publicity, and they're hoping to cash in on that, which is brilliant. And yeah, as you said, Laurie Calvert has had a big hand in this, which is brilliant to see. They've actually reached out to get in contact with the modelers and say, this seems to be really appealing to a new audience. Would you be able to help us out with this?
Yeah.
So it's really, really nice to see that Hornby are getting involved with the the modelling community as well in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I found as a YouTuber that Hornby are very, very keen to get involved with other YouTubers, and they really recognise that the internet, social media, has been very much a game changer in all aspects of retail, but also in terms of model railways. And I've found it's very nice to see how well Hornby has adapted to this internet age and brought on board the modelers through social media. And I suppose it's something for me personally that maybe other manufacturers could take a leaf out of their book. I mean, what's your thoughts on this? Because I know you were very much quite a prominent YouTuber before you moved over to Railway Modeler.
Well, I like to hope I still think my channel's still going, sort of thing. I am. In fact, I'm currently actually doing modelling as we speak in my hotel room. So I've got a couple of tanks in front of me, and I am indeed. Yeah, I've got a massive great stock box behind me full of rolling stock and stuff that I'm weathering up for my own videos and stuff. So at the moment, I've got 6 tanks on my desk. But I digress. Basically, when I joined the team down at Railway Modeler, I'm basically one of my main tasks is for social media and stuff. And they've openly admitted that they would like to be more prominent on social media, and so they've sort of drafted me in to help out with that, as well as obviously getting into the ropes of actual model railway journalism as well, which is brilliant. It's something I've always wanted to learn. So it's early stages yet, but I'm really, really enjoying it. And I totally agree that social media is playing a massive part in the hobby now, and it's influencing a lot of people. I mean, whole communities. I mean, when I started out doing YouTube, must be about 7 years ago now. I didn't realize there were so many like-minded people out there that enjoy the hobby as much as what I do, and I watch their videos and they watch mine, and it's been it's just amazing. And I've made so many friends over the years thanks to that, and it's great to see the companies are now realizing this, that you can have a more of a personal touch with your sort of customer, and hopefully produce a model that they want.
Yeah, very much. I mean, I always liken it to a bit like the difference between watching QVC and watching third-party programming. When companies themselves try and promote their own products, it's very much got this QVC almost false feel. But when they get the YouTubers, the Instagrammers, the social media people involved and enthused, it's a much more accessible way of letting people know about their products, I guess.
It is, and it's a nice way of doing it, really, and and hopefully it will help them out in the long run.
Definitely. And I mean, one of the other standout products from the Hornby announcements for me, which really caught me off guard, I guess, was the reintroduction of the Hornby O-gauge tin plate. I mean, what did you make of that when you saw those 4 locomotives announced?
well, being the 100th anniversary, we all sort of gathered that there would be some sort of centenary products, but we didn't realise that Hornby would go quite as far as to what they did. There would have been one of my ideas that I sort of thought before I joined the team down at Railway Modeller was maybe they might produce something like like the Railroad 040s in liveries that the tinplate models would have carried, but for them to go and produce a limited number of actual tinplate models to pretty much what we can gather, a very similar pattern to what the original ones were, is really quite impressive. They are definitely very much collector's pieces, but there are people out there that will collect them. And the Centenary packs altogether, I mean, they just look really, really well presented. So like there's one for each decade, and I must admit, as an enthusiast, so I'm talking from my own point of view now, I'm definitely I've ordered up definitely one of the Peckett. I just love the Pecketts in general. I collect Pecketts.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, it's the Pecketts have basically become like the new what the Dapple Terriers were. That everybody, or the Austerities, everybody wants one of every livery sort of thing, and I'm definitely one of those people. And to see sort of the limited edition Peckett in that grey livery really was quite nice to see. So that was definitely one personally for me. But yeah, the whole range in general, in the sense of the Centenary products, there's a nice variety, and it really sort of does capture each decade. I mean, of course, sort of from my era of when I grew up with modelling, being only 25, one of the products that stood out to me was the Clan line, because I remember when that was introduced into the range as a new tooling. And so it's nice to see that that's also been sort of part of the decade-old, sort of part of the centenary. But then at the same time, it does make you feel a bit old, and looking back at it, going, "Well, that was back then."
You see, I just graduated university when that came out, and the one that strikes me is the Hornby 00 models. I hasten to add, I didn't get them brand new. I got them second hand in the early 80s. But for me, it was the Hornby 00 items. And actually, one thing I've noticed is, because I know a lot about Hornby 00s, there's actually some quite subtle references to things that were in the Hornby 00 range way back when, which I'm guessing a lot of people may have overlooked. Stuff like the Mark 1 VW camper van, but in the yellow Hornby 00 livery, was an actual 00 dinky model from back in the day. And it just, for me, it was just genius how they'd kind of picked out these key models from people's childhoods, not just from way back when, but through all the ages. So people who grew up in the 60s, there was something for them. From the 70s, there was something that they would remember. From the 80s, from the 90s, from the 2000s. And I thought it was just, my personal view was, it was a very well thought out, very comprehensive, something for everybody spread of products. I mean, how do you feel on looking over it?
I definitely feel the same way. The only sort of gap I sort of noticed, and I know that a few people have picked up on, is there's not really much loco-wise for BR Blue modelers. But apart from that, though, the actual range itself of like carriages, there's a lot of departmental items of rolling stock. I know that a lot of people are very passionate about like the different like network rail vehicles, and of course the BR departmental ones. It's been great to see Hornby have sort of said, okay, we'll produce those as well. So there's a lot of new like carriage liveries. The amount of modern image diesels this year was quite staggering, which is really, really nice. Because I know that sometimes modern image modelers don't tend to get much from, don't seem to find there's a lot in the Hornby range. So it's been really, really nice to see that Hornby have gone with the APT. The Class 91 was an interesting one. Obviously, we know there's another company that's producing that as well. But knowing how long it takes to produce a model, I wouldn't doubt that Hornby had the tool, were tooling up at the same time that the other company had announced it. And I know there's always these things where a product is duplicated, as we've had a couple of times in the past few years, that people jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, they're just trying to steal each other's sort of purchases. But when you're sort of being behind the manufacturing, and you really look at how much goes into producing a model and how many years it takes to produce a model, you'll see that sometimes these models, although they seem like a year to us before they appear on the market, have probably been in the development and have been going through plans and tooling for about 4 or 5 years.
Oh yeah,
so it's
definitely
been one of those things. Yeah, so it's always a shame when there's products duplicated, but
Hmm.
at the same time, you know that it'd be too much work, too much of a cost to throw away something that they probably spent many years working hard towards.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see it. And what we've seen of the early sort of 3D print, it does look to be shaping up to be a very nice model.
Definitely. I mean, that's something you've touched upon there that I really do quite like with the Hornby announcements. They very much, when they announce a model, they tend to be quite far along in the development. So we see much shorter lead times from announcement to the products actually being on the shelves. And I do think that on the one hand, from the modeler's point of view, that is great because you're not then waiting for years and years and years for a product to eventually appear. But on the other, I guess it does lead to this situation where another company can start work on a model, and then it turns out that Hornby were already doing something with that model in secret. So I'm guessing the Class 91 falls into that category because they presumably started work on that, like you're saying, a year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years ago would have been when they would have started doing the research on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I imagine, yeah, it probably would have been about at least 3 years, I would imagine, because that was when I remember, going back through previous sort of wish lists. Obviously I'd follow forums and videos and stuff with the releases to like the 2018, 2017 ranges and all that, and 2019 ranges, of course. And you always get people going, oh, why didn't they produce this or why didn't they produce that? And I know that for quite a few years people were saying, why haven't you retooled your Class 91? So evidently
Hmm.
Hornby had probably taken that feedback on many years ago, and has obviously taken this long to get to this stage.
Yeah.
So they have something that's pretty much almost they got a prototype to sort of show us. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if there's many pictures of the prototype about, but I produced a video for Railway Modeler, which is on YouTube, and you should be able to see the sort of the 3D print or the early sort of EP of that model. I think it's a 3D print at the stage, but it does look to be coming along really nicely. And I know that the team were showing a number of other prototypes which also feature in that video. So
Hmm.
they've also got a early 3D print of the Thompson A2-2s, the BR Standard 2MTs, and the Hush Hush in its various forms as well. They had a couple of the body shells on display. So they really are sort of cracking on with the models, which is really good to see.
Definitely. And one of the things that I spotted as well is that a lot of them do have quite short time periods towards the release date. There's quite a few things in this list which were down for like Q1 or Q2 of this year, which, well, yeah, when you think they're just being announced now, it's actually quite staggering. So I'm guessing just going to have to save up awfully quick. I'm going to have to put in a lot of overtime at work, I think.
Yeah, I think one of the most noticeable ones and one of the most surprising ones, I'm sure quite a lot of people are definitely going to be interested in, ones that I know that people will be after, is the Stephenson's rocket. I mean,
Yes.
the expected time of arrival for that model is February, which is only a couple of weeks away, which is amazing stuff. And I know that when the Railway Modeler team were went along to the press conference, they were displaying the almost finished model on display, and it really does look a cracking piece. One
Definitely.
thing you can't gather from the pictures is how tiny it is. And to prove this, the team Craig from Railway Modeler actually took a photo of Simon Kohler actually holding the rocket in his hand, and it
Mm.
will be in our next issue, which is out on Thursday. It's
Right.
actually in the palm of his hand, and it is tiny. You think a pecket is small. You wait until you see the picture of Simon Kohler holding that rocket, and you realise how small that model actually is.
Yeah, I mean, the original model, which came out, and I think it was 1968, if my memory proves me correct, was actually a marvel of engineering in its time because of how small it was. But I mean, it's one that one thing I will say about Simon Kohler is never play poker with him, because I was asking him
No,
about the Stephenson's rocket at Worley, and with an absolutely straight face that gave no hints whatsoever, he told me, oh, well, the tooling for that was junked by the previous management. And I guess he was half right. The original tooling was, but there was not even a hint that this was on the cards. And I think it's genius. And I've been telling people all day that it's one that you have to pre-order. Otherwise, you may end up being disappointed because, like you say, it's going to sell incredibly well.
Yeah, it's just one of those. It's a bit like the Oxford railgun. It's one of those items that you don't necessarily need, but it's one of those ones that you want.
I know
which is
exactly
really, really
what
good.
you mean. Yes.
It is. It's again. It's the same with the Hush Hush. I mean, who model? Yeah, there's only going to be a select amount of people that would have a layout that's prototypically perfect for Hush Hush. But yet, it's one of those intriguing locomotives that captures so many modelers' imaginations that they could just go, "Oh, I'll just have that and run it in its prototype livery. It's photographic grey, but with BR Mark Ones because it's just such a wonderful model." And I think Hornby realised this that if you find a model that has a really neat sort of niche market, modelers would buy it just for that pure that pure joy of just owning that model. It's like this. I've been to an exhibition before and I've seen a Modern Image EWS depot and they had an Oxford railgun sitting on it just because. And you're thinking, all you just had was 66s sitting on shed, and there was just this railgun parked up in between them, and they're like, "Why is that on there?" And they were just like, "Oh, it's just the anti-rivet counters device." And you're thinking it's a World War One, World War Two railgun just sitting in the in the middle of a Modern Image layout. And it's one of those niche products, and as long as it's well priced and is of high enough quality, people will buy it, and that's the whole point. At the end of the day, it's all for the financial success of the company, because then that way they can then reinvest it and bring us more models in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I was left thinking this morning after I calmed down from squeeing through all the announcements was, how can Hornby ever top these releases? I mean, this is really such a standout year. I don't remember any year this amazing for any one company's announcements, to be honest with you. It just blew me away, and I'm guessing that you possibly had the same experience, but when you found out what the release schedule was.
Yes, well, I mean, it's funny really, because when you're sort of a journalist, you obviously got to keep a level head on. But I know that but to show you that you're passionate about the hobby, when you get excited about something being released, it's always it shows that you're enjoying the hobby, and it shows that you're passionate about it. And that was definitely the case with this year. Although there wasn't, as you've probably gathered from my personal YouTube channel, I tend to model World War One and Somerset and Dorset. And as you can probably tell in the range this year, there is pretty much nothing that would fit any of those bills. But I do love Peckets, and there was a good amount of Peckets, but also as well the rocket. I would definitely probably be getting a rocket at some point. But also as well, another item that really caught my fancy and one that I would definitely be after is the Sir Kenneth Grange HST pack with the 8 coaches.
Right.
And I got rid of all my BR Blue stuff and all my modern era stuff. I'm sort of selling on to make room for the sort of periods I'm sort of knuckling down and focusing. But that particular train has a soft spot for me because I was fortunate enough to actually be on the last service train out of Paddington back to Bristol Temple Meads. Obviously, it carried on to Taunton and Exeter, I believe. But so I was fortunate enough to be on that train. So that train holds a particular soft spot for me. And as you know, she's now plinth'd in the National Railway Museum. So I think that was, again, a really, really smart move by Hornby to produce that. Because not only does it appeal to a modern, sort of the Modern Image clientele, but also as well the people that were there to witness that final train. And I'm hoping that maybe Hornby will cotton on to the recent rail tour on the LNER network with the last HST. Because again, that tugged on a lot of people's heartstrings as well. It's like it's catching a moment in time as well. And I think that once you've got a product that sort of captures and tugs on the heartstrings of the sort of the clientele, then you're really sold on that product.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I know HSTs have a massive following, and I guess as they're now coming to the point where they're starting to get retired, people start to, they pass into the realm of nostalgia in much the same way that, I remember travelling every single day on Class 101s because they were just what was running on the railway. and then one day they weren't. And now I look back with immense fondness on the Class 101s because it was this thing that I remember quite well from that moment in my life that has these sort of these connotations of good times.
It's really, really funny that, because it was like at the start of last year, me and my friend, we sort of realised that HSTs were being phased out, and at first it didn't seem to faze me, but then we went around and followed the last couple of them on the network, and you really became fond of them. And now sort of thing, when you see a HST and occasionally pass through Bristol, because there's a few services still do, you're like, oh, there's a HST. It's quite amazing, really, and to know that something you travelled on is now in a museum. It does make you feel old at the same time, but it sort of does make you look back and go, I was lucky enough to travel on that.
Definitely. And Les, have you got some questions?
No, I'm quite happy just listening.
I've just been told by the cupboard monkey that I should give Les a chance to talk.
No, it's all right. No, I'm fine. It's interesting listening to Callum talk and everything.
Definitely, yeah. So, Callum, are we going to still be getting more videos from you on your channel, which is SDJR88, am I right?
Yeah, SDJR88. I still do 3 videos a week. Anytime that I'm not in the office, I'm doing my own personal videos. So really, my life at the moment is fully revolved around model railways, quite literally. Brilliant. So, as mentioned, I am literally painting models as we speak. I've just actually started work on a second tank. But it's quite therapeutic, really. Just doing a bit of painting on an evening. But yeah, hopefully, at the moment, I've moved away from home to work with the team down at Railway Modeller. It's about a 2-hour drive from my sort of my hometown, in a way, of Bristol, as you can probably tell by my accent. So my model railway and all that sort of been is left at home. So really, I do miss it, sort of thing. But hopefully, once I get settled in down here, and I've got to find my own place down here, which of course is a major step, and of course going to be a major hit on the bank balance, as you can imagine. But hopefully I'll hopefully be able to start building a layout then, and hopefully get back into it. But yeah, my channel is still going, and I don't intend on stopping it anytime soon. It may slow down a bit because obviously with work and other things, but no, my channel is still fairly much there. There's a video going up tomorrow, and I've got a sort of a backlog of videos that are going up. So it's all good. It's all looking pretty healthy. So it's a bit of a juggling act with 2 channels now, but I'm pretty pleased with how it's going.
Brilliant. And how are you finding working down at Pico? Because I mean, you say you're obviously separated from your own layout, but I presume they've got a lot of layouts for you to play on down there. Or is Stern Steve very strict at not letting you play with the trains whilst you're at work?
Look at the kink in that track.
Yes, that was the catchphrase that he got given after reviewing our layout on the series. No, Stern Steve is very stern to his word. I mean, as mentioned, it is a job, so it isn't all fun and games. But you got to enjoy your job, and that's the main thing. And I really, really do enjoy it. It is a lot of hard work. You would think working in a model railway environment, it's all fun and games. It isn't. There's a lot of deadlines, a lot of schedules. I mean, especially with this range, as we found out, we had this range sort of announced about a week and a half before the magazine goes to print, which was before Christmas. So as you can imagine, I was sort of really thrown in the deep end with the team down there, and I really appreciate all the hard work that they do to put into a magazine. And it's amazing how much it takes to produce a magazine now. With text and all the images, again, all just right, and all placing it around. I mean, the team do an amazing job. Of course, occasionally, when a review sample comes in, we do have the 5 minutes of pleasure of actually test running it, and we do get a bit excited. It's always a bit of excitement running a new model, but that's only a small part of the job. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it, and it really is a great job, and the team do it, amazing work, and it's great to be a part of it, and sort of pick up the ropes and learn what goes into producing a magazine.
I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, it does sound like you've very much got the dream job in railway modelling, and I think it's always very important, if you enjoy what you do as a job, then no matter how hard it actually is doing the work, it's not a chore. So I think cherish every moment, because you've got something special there, and I wish you the very best with that.
Same from me.
Definitely, and it's great. Thanks for spending some time just to chat with us and with the online audience. And it's great to get a perspective from the magazine press, because obviously you guys have a slightly different perspective than people like us who are on the outside. But I mean, it's certainly been an amazing announcement. So we look from here on to the Bachmann announcement in February. Will you be attending the Bachmann announcement? Do you know?
We had this discussion today. We don't know exactly what's happening or what with the range just yet, because it was only literally announced a couple of days ago. It was over the weekend, I believe. So we're still discussing as what's to actually be announced and what's going to be happening. But I'm sure we'll be covering all the information when Bachmann do give us a date on when the range is going to be released and the timings and whatnot. And I'm sure we will have coverage of that when it's sort of been disclosed.
No problem. Well, look, best of luck in the job, and thanks very much for taking the time out to chat with us. And whatever you do, don't spill any paint on the minibar. We'll let you get back to your painting.
Yeah, all the best, Callum. Happy New Year to you.
No problem. Happy New Year to you too. Thank you ever so much.
You're welcome.
No worries. Take care. You take care. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Right, let's just get the earplugs out. So a big thanks there to Callum Wilcox for coming on the live stream. Sorry, it's just connected down there to the splitter for the audio feed. We've got Cottesmore coming on later on, aka David Jones. So that'll be coming up at 8:30. But
what era is the Hush Hush then?
The Hush Hush is era 3.
Why was it called Hush Hush?
I think it's the noise it made. Went hush, hush.
Right.
It was a superheated, high-pressure marine boiler, I think. But whilst we've been on the phone to Callum Wilcox, I hope that came through all right, actually. So I've kind of trying to keep an eye on the comments from afar. But yeah, I like transport. Always great to you, the man, you on board there. Don't forget to hit the like, smash the subscribe, ring the bell,
Ding dong.
and don't forget you can also check me out on Patreon too. But hopefully that was quite informative to people. It was great to have Callum on there, taking a little bit of time out in the hotel. It's a funny old life being a journalist. I remember back well what it was like being a journalist. In my case, as an aviation journalist. But certainly it's an interesting lifestyle. But
Can he play the guitar as well? Can he play the guitar and sing? I mean, he'd be a good competition for Rod Stewart.
Oh yeah, but it's great to have your dream job like that.
Yes,
but big thanks to Callum, and you can check out his channel at SDJR7F88 over on YouTube. He says he's still putting up the videos, so do go and check him out and subscribe if you've not already done so. Right, I'm just having a look. Mark Rice says, Class 101 Rochdale Loop, miss bouncing up and down on the rails to shore, miss the days. I know, see, for me, the Class 101s, it was the trip from Bromley Cross, where my parents live, down into Manchester. I've got photographs of regional railways liveried 101s in the last few days of service at Manchester Piccadilly, actually. I like transport, so the Adams Railway, as far as I'm aware, it's not the DJM. I presume you're talking about, is this the APT that DJ models were working on? And there has been some speculation going on, and I believe that, given the timings, that whatever Hornby have announced this year is all their own work. It's not coming from another manufacturer, because I believe they would have already been well on the way of researching and tooling up all the CAD work, definitely, for the APT before DJ models had the demise. Lakota there, Ralph, says it was called Hush Hush because they were trying to keep it a secret, so it got the nickname Hush Hush because they were keeping it hush hush. All right, you live and learn. David Watts, I need a 464 Watt livery though. So many black and white pics of the real things. Coronation Scott coaches too. Are they retools or just new numbers? They are retools now. One of the interesting things in the range for me, actually, were those coaches, because there's something that's been a little bit of a thorn, I think, in the range. Do you actually have any of those, Stanley, the blue and silver coaches?
Old ones, yes, yes.
Because they're one of the things that's being retooled up to like super duper detail standards.
Right, 'cause I don't like the windows the way that they're painted on them. So I've got about 10 of them. So again, because they've been bought second hand, as I've been trying to build up a collection of coaches, maybe they will eventually go back on eBay, and I might get some of the newer ones.
I mean, they're not cheap, and I saw actually it was a comment to the Hornby Signal Box YouTube video where somebody said, "Oh, can't you make these tinplate models a bit more affordable? Yeah, maybe like £15, please." And it's like, people have no concept of what these things cost to make. And the fact that Hornby is not a charity, they're a company trying to make money, and you cannot begrudge them for that.
No.
So, things are getting more expensive. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But certainly the coronation coaches, I think they're going to be in blue. There we are. David Watts says, I've got a full set of it. Oh, sorry, that's what you've got. Right, I'm with you. They're about, I think I saw an RRP of around the £46 mark. So I'm going to actually, let's just see. I'm going to see if I can find on a website that you guys can't see at the moment. LMS Coronation Scott coaches. So I'm just having a look down.
Yeah, because I remember selling my LMS Scott blue one with, I think it had 5 or 6 coaches, and I think I got £90 for the whole lot. But
these are going to be RRP $47.99 each. It says Coronation Scott. I would guess that that's going to be in the blue. Yeah, I'm just looking at. There's no. It's a black and white picture, so it could be maroon, it could be blue, but I'm suspecting blue. October 2020 is when they're due out, so you've got a bit of time to save up. Cupboard Monkey, what can we do for you?
Those photos that someone had sent you, and you said you wanted them on the computer. While you're chatting, would you like me to transfer them?
Yes, that would be great. Yes, we New
I
Junction.
left the connection on Wi-Fi, so I could do this.
New Junction has sent over some pictures from the press event, I believe. So we're going to sort.
Can you find them?
Let me just. There we are. Oh, it's removed them.
Oh, New Junction. You could have sent them.
Go on, Les. Talk to the nice people.
She loves to leave people in the lurch here, doesn't she? Just say, go on, you go and do this.
My knowledge is limited. But yeah, I had a very old set of the Coronation. I think I paid about £120 when I bought it. And in the end I only sold it for £90. But there wasn't things wrong with it in terms of running, but in terms of the chassis not being as accurate. So plus it couldn't be made into DCC, the one that I had, so it had to go along with all the other engines. It might be one that I eventually replace, but I might have to wait a couple more years, maybe a little bit longer, before I can dip into my pocket.
Right.
But I am quite, because this is the first time I've seen some of the stuff, and I'm quite impressed. It doesn't all appeal to me. I do like the rocket. I do quite like that Hush Hush. I'm tempted to think maybe I should save up for something like that, because my railway is sort of unique. It doesn't fit in with any sort of preconceived ideas of what it's got to be, so I could quite easily run that on mine. I think with the rocket I also like that, but I would probably have to build some kind of little shelf layout that was just a diorama of a time that might have been there. Have a fancy old house in the background with ladies and gentlemen on their horse and carriages and going and having a ride. Queen Victoria was on that, wasn't there? There was a TV series, and she actually was got a ride on the rocket, or one very similar to it.
Well, there are quite a few. What are you doing?
Johnny Smith says Zoe ... Well, what's up?
Where?
And
Cupboard
Zoe,
Monkey,
did you
hello.
notice there are a couple of gronks in the Hornby collection? I did.
Yes, Zoe loves her classics.
Gronkety gronk, gronkety gronk.
Where's that? Well, me poor hands. Has he sent them again?
Yeah.
Hey, right. We're going to try and get up the pictures that New Junction sent over. These were, I think, they're from the press event. So really interested to see these. We've been going through some of the pictures that John Barber has supplied. Unfortunately, it's a bit low resolution, so we've been having a few problems. Where's it gone? Was it QuickTime? What were the pictures in?
Did you
the video.
close it?
No, I clicked on something else.
Okay, we'll go to minimize on the browser.
The
yellow button.
Yeah,
There
it is. Yeah, so obviously big thanks to let me just hold on one moment. Fortunately, I think the video, I really do appreciate that John Barber's sent these over, but unfortunately they are a bit too low res to be able to see too much. But certainly, as I was saying before, if you are wanting to order up any of these items, the Rails of Sheffield website over at railsofsheffield.com have the full range is now up and ready for you to order. Obviously, you can order from.
I think you're gonna like these.
Okay, well, if you get them up and
I will, don't worry.
Just give me one moment. Somebody said about my infectious enthusiasm. I aim to please. But yeah, as a thank you to John and the team at Rails of Sheffield who have kept us in the loop over things like getting the videos for us. It's only fair that I show you the website and show you that they're all now up here and available.
I need that.
To Zoe's going to right. You could have got me to do that.
Yeah, but knowing you, you'd have pressed a button and everything would have gone offline, and then you'd have cried. Can you bring yourselves up? Main screen.
3.
Thank you. I just don't want people ending up seeing all the mess I've got in my downloads folder.
What? Seeing the secrets behind the curtain? My
I've
word! You have been downloading lots and lots of pictures of Sonic the Hedgehog in interesting poses.
I've got 17 copies of the same file in here.
Have you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're all different versions of the game I was making today.
Oh right, yeah. So, excuse us. So we just got a cupboard monkey here trying to get these pictures up. So a big thanks to Richard over at New Junction. For sending these over. So in just one moment,
Bring them up.
So right, I'm going to bring these up now. So again, big thanks to Richard at New Junction, who you'll see at the end there, looking really pleased as punch to be there with the team. Simon Kohler obviously in the middle. Now,
I like that.
and that looks to be based on the Bagnall Shunter. Now, these were developed in conjunction with Laurie Calvert. I need to go and find at some point.
I'm popping out for coffee. Do you want anything?
Have we got any more? We got more Coke. Laurie Calvert of Cato Pass fame. You will most likely, if you've been to places like Worley and an awful lot of other shows, you will have seen Laurie about. Is a great character. He was involved in GMRC Series 1, and these I believe have been done in conjunction with him. And what's quite interesting, what strikes me there, is if you look to that wagon, the bits that are attached on the side, well actually they're part of the moulding, but they're actually pieces of Airfix battleship kits.
All right.
And I love the way that the base model is actually a Hornby range model. So that is based from the Bagnall Shunter that they do. That was the same, I think. And there again, that's based on the Smokey Joe.
The Smokey Joe effect on there.
Yeah, and it's just, I think it's really nicely done. And then they've got a range of buildings and figures as well. And I can see these selling reasonably well to people outside of model railways.
Yeah.
But these are fun things for younger people as well. Now, there's the box artwork that I was trying to show you that John Barber had videoed, but obviously hadn't quite come through in high enough quality to really be able to show you properly. But there's the Hornby 00 box, and that is really nice. Now, how do I go? I don't know how I get the next picture. No, I mean, it's not scrolling. How do I get the thing to scroll? It won't kind of show me what's over to the right. Where are you going?
I told you I'd just gone for coffee.
For coffee? Are we out of coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's touch controls. You just swipe.
Oh, right.
I
I'm
got a
blooming Mac. So here's the Beatles Eurostar. Nice. And actually, that's really pretty. I don't do modern image, but that is really quite pretty. And for me, I know the Loco Ladies with their crochet trees.
Yes, yeah.
This is the perfect addition to something like that. But I'm very conscious that I'm doing a lot of talking here.
I'm fine. I'm just, agog at some of the stuff.
And there is the class 91. So I know
I'm filling my face with chocolate sticks.
Yeah, pass the box. I might have one. I'm being a bit naughty. I've had a zingy lemon thing. So But they will have been well on the way even when Cavalex announced theirs. So I don't for 1 minute believe this to be a wrecking exercise. Hornby works for quite a few years in advance. Get the models ready. I know with the Terrier Gate, there was a sense that yes, Hornby were working on a Terrier at the same time as Rails and Dapol. And they did fast track it a bit, but it's I suppose that's business, really.
I see. To me, they do nothing for me. They look boring, but that's because I'm just not into the modern image. If those are classed as modern image, but
they are class 66 to be post 1997.
They're just square boxes, no character, no appeal. But it's like everything else, I'm looking at the more old age kind of stuff that I like that seems to have character. It's like with cars. I like all the cars from the earlier age. Modern day cars now, again, they're all boring. But
see,
that's
yeah,
just
I know
me.
what you mean. Cars now are they all look the same to me. If you take the badge off the front, most people would be hard pressed to tell them apart.
Half of them are made in the same factory.
And then, as also here, we'll do a plug for New Junction and Hornby magazine. New Junction obviously does a lot with Hornby magazine. So they've got an offer going: buy the Hornby catalogue and Hornby magazine, both for less than a tenner, at selected Tesco and WH Smith stores.
I might get that and frame one. Posterity, because
you love this framing of
I do,
of
because
magazines.
I'm going down into Notlobia. On the staircase, I had about 80 front pages of the old railway modelers. I just ripped the covers off and stuck them onto the wall. But in the new place, whenever I go now,
You can actually
I'm going.
frame them.
Well, I've got a lot of framed memorabilia to go up, obviously from Biggest Little Railway and things.
Yeah,
So certain things like this, I think they just make nice, iconic sort of magazines. They may or may not become valuable, but you go into an IKEA showroom and they have all their front pages of every catalogue that they've done, all framed in the restaurants, and it's quirky. So I think I will get a couple of the magazines.
But big thanks to New Junction for what? What's that? What's this? Jenny, get him out.
Get who at me?
Let's just have a look. I think he's talking about Hatton's website. I think Ivor the Engine. Interesting.
Jenny, get who out?
I don't know.
Have I offended somebody because I said modern day trains are boring?
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, you're in his bad books.
In whose bad books?
New Junction. He's a big YouTuber, you know. He's bigger than me.
Is he? Oh well.
Yeah.
I don't apologise. It's my opinion, but it's each to their own. It's no offences meant.
See, I must admit, when I reviewed the Hattons Class 66, it it very nearly got me interested in buying one. Didn't quite, but it was when you get into like really close up to it, it is a really good model. The other modern image model actually, which turned my head, was the Class 67 from Hornby. It is a lovely model.
Well, I'm not denying that they're not exquisite models, but aesthetically, to me, they're
it's like Ian Ryan says. Les is right. 30 years ago, you could identify a car from half a mile away. Now you can't tell what's behind.
No.
Yeah, Creeping James. Somebody should moderate Richard.
I've lost the thread on that. So.
I must admit, I've not really been looking at the comments much. New Junk says the February Hornby magazine front cover is Mouldy Raspberries layout. That's the North Yorkshire Moors one.
Oh, right.
That is a great layout, actually. That'd be an interesting one to see. That is one of the YouTube channels that I follow. Yeah, Fat Wallet Boy, I think you're absolutely right. There's going to be a few errors creeping in. I know that Oliver and Adam were typing furiously at Rails all day today, putting all that info in. And, it does mean that a few errors are going to creep in. And I suspect it's exactly the same at Hatton's as well. Fat Wallet Boy 2 says, no new Class 87s, boo-hoo. Actually, that's a good point. I didn't see any 87s. Are there any still to carry over from last year's catalogue, does anybody know, that were announced but have not yet appeared? That could possibly be a part of it. J. Paul Anderson, absolutely right. Yorkshire Dales. Alex Faxton, just got my Class 142 Pacer. Is that the real track model or the older Hornby model? Let's... Oops, no, wrong keys. Bish, bash, bosh. Oh, keep an eye on the time. At 8:30, we're going to be going live to Cottesmore as well. Let's have a look. Hi everyone, this is funny. Pretty interesting. Relative new to modelling. Are there any new announcements on N-Gauge, or does it all run simultaneously with other gauges? Oh, no. This is Hornby. Hornby just does primarily double O, although they've dabbled in O-Gauge, and I thought it was actually quite inspired that they went back to their roots. But as far as N-Gauge go, Hornby don't do N-Gauge, so it would be something that basically would come back to that at some point. With another manufacturer. It'd be Graham Farish, I guess, would be the big announcement. Just keeping an eye on time. We're going to be going live to Cottesmore. Where's my phone gone? So a big thanks to Richard at New Junction for those. Really, really great to look through.
Have we gone through them all then?
It says I've got one. Oh, there we are. Right, that's fine. Good
evening, Warrington Train Spotters. Yes, we're all doing well.
Let's have a look. Have we? Is it jumped? New Junction anytime. Look, absolutely welcome. A New Junction. You're gonna have to get up here at some point when you do your Max and Paddy hit the road trip with Dave Jones of Cottesmore. You do have to come and come on one of the live streams. It'll be grand. In fact, we should probably all do a trip over to somewhere like Dapol as well. Maybe go, because there's... do you remember Derry? Adair Fo Nightingale. Yeah. There's so much railway history over there, and he's been showing me around some of that. And we've got some really, really good video footage there. Otis JB, am I the only one who thinks 500 quid for the tin plate, some tin and a clockwork mechanism is ridiculous, almost as much as an original? Right, one thing I have to say about the tin plate models is they are genuine tin plate models, and they're pretty much hand built. They're very much collector's items. They are not toys. Not in any way are they toys. And, they're also super limited edition. And that means I think there's 100 each of them, which is actually pretty short print run. Yeah. Now, if you can get models made to that like that, 100 each, you're gonna find and painted and finished. They're not cheap. They're very much a special one-off for the Centenary. I doubt we're going to see them reappear again.
Do they run on 3 rail? What do they?
The O gauge.
O
gauge. But they're like very coarse.
Yeah.
They're like the original toys
Yeah,
from 1920.
so you could wind them up and put them in the garden, send them around the garden. But yes,
not at that. Excuse me, not at that price.
no, I'm going to say it.
I'm not sure actually. Do they come with track, or do you have to find your own track? Hornby O gauge track is 2 a penny. It has to be said. Brian Mozza says the tin plate are 3 rail.
Oh wow.
So does that mean, do they come with the track to run them? Because 3 rail track is going to be quite tricky. Andy 1962 says, right, the tin plate models are already sold out on pre-orders in some websites. And that is an interesting point. There's a lot of people moaning about the price. And yeah, I know that they are expensive, but they're not appealing to the modeler market. This is the retro nostalgia collectors market. And by all accounts, they are selling very, very well. Mark Wilson, Palitoy are not still going. I think they became they kind of absorbed into Bachmann. Warrington Train Spotter, yeah, the Stevenson Rocket looks great. I am tempted. I am as well. I am going to be ordering one of those. And I think, like people are saying, some of these are already selling out to pre-order. So I guess if there is a must-have item there, you're really going to have to get yourself a pre-order for them. Have I just clicked? Oh, I've just clicked the wrong button. No.
What have you done?
No, it's gonna any second now. Safari's gonna muscle in and ruin everything. And it's one of the it's like watching a car crash in slow motion, because you know it's gonna happen. There's nothing you can do about it. So at some point, I don't know where it's gone.
Oh dear, the black screen.
We're getting the old blacks. No, the computer's just hung, and we're back. And chug-a-dug. So we're having a few technical difficulties here.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. Oh no, we've got the spinning beach ball of death. So we need to get rid of that. Chug, 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 chug. I think we're still coming through.
Have we missed any APT being released? Good idea.
The APT is fully tooled from scratch. Yeah, actually, I like transport. You are absolutely right. Everyone who feels there were products missing from the Hornby range, remember there is a limit to what you can produce.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. They, not going to please everybody.
Can't please everybody all the time, but most of the people some of the time.
Yeah. Why has my browser disappeared? Ah, there it is. Right. I'm just going back to the browser. 8. So, as I said before, it was a big thank you to John Barber, who got us some insider video, and we were hoping to be able to bring an interview with John just to get the retailer's perspective on this, but he's currently attending, and oh my word, Graham MCK, £3 donated on the Super Chat. Thank you very, very much for that. That is really great. I really do appreciate all of the donations. I know we had one came in before, I think whilst we were on the phone, to Callum Wilcox, and I wasn't able to acknowledge it, but a big thank you to them as well. Really couldn't produce as many videos to the standard that we do without your assistance, so thank you very much for that. But I'm just going back to the Rails of Sheffield site. So you can, of course, pre-order the full range with pretty much any retailer: Kerno Model Centre, Hatton's, 53A models, Transport models, Durham Trains of Stanley, Invicta models. All of these different places, absolutely able to pre-order all of these. Do support your local model shop. But at the moment, we're just showing you the details on the Rails of Sheffield site. They're all available there, and you can gauge what kind of prices they're going to be looking to sell them for. I know this is going to get very expensive for a lot of people, me included. But Marty McFly, Jenny and Les, which rocket would you buy out of the two? As I'm very tempted. I believe the only difference is one's in a presentation box and the other is in presumably a more standard box. So it depends. Do you want the presentation box or are you happy without? If you're happy without, I would say, ooh.
I'm
You would
happy.
say, ooh.
I'm happy without because
What the heck have you been buying?
I'm sorry, but when I see an entire Christmas cake on sale for less than £2, I buy a Christmas cake.
What's wrong with it?
I think it's going
Oh,
to
you
be
just had too many.
personal taste. For me, as I mentioned
Stop
earlier,
it, Jen.
I'm not really into the packaging and the boxes. I prefer to play with the product. So I wouldn't personally pay more for the box when all I'm going to do is take it out and put it on a layout or put it on a diorama and play with it, literally. I think if I do get the rocket, again, because I've got no railway at the moment, it's something I would have to build, maybe a shelf diorama, something that's about 9 inches, 12 inches wide by 8 foot long or something like that, and do a period setting of it and just have it trundling back and forwards on a, whatever those things are called that stop it at one end and send it back.
About like a little diorama.
Yeah.
Oh, a shuttle.
A shuttle,
yeah.
that's what I was
Because I gave you the Gauge Master
Yeah,
thing, which
yeah.
we had a Gauge Master shuttle unit left
Yes.
over from doing GMRC.
Ooh.
Do you want a piece of cake?
Thank you.
Yeah, what are the rest of you having?
It's broken, that's why it's cheap.
So hopefully later this week, I'm looking to get Laurie Calvert.
It's nearly 8:30 done.
Oh, good point. Right. Anyway, we're going to break away from that. We're going to let's
But I
see
am
if.
tempted with that actually.
I must
two.
admit, I think a lot of
Oh.
people are going to be tempted by the Hush Hush as well. It's quite a novelty. New to the range, never been produced in model form before. Let me just try and find the. Let's see now. Right, can you remember which is which? One of these fits in my ear. No, I think that's because they're handed these. See, they fit nicely in one ear. Why is that? What? Oh, I see. Sorry, I'm just doing a bit of running repairs.
Jiggery pokery.
Yeah. Yes, matron.
Ooh, matron.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to try and get David Jones, aka Cottesmore, on the line now. So, David, if you're there, then we're going in dry. So I can.
We've had two pop stars on. We've had Toy Wilcox brother, and now we've got David Jones out of the Monkeys.
What are you like? I can't take you anywhere.
There's nobody in.
It's very quiet.
Yep. Come in, Houston. He's stuck on the loo. He can't get to the phone.
Cottesmore says try again. I think.
Ah.
Hello?
Hello, Trouble.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm not bad. How are you two?
I'm pretty good.
Misbehaving as usual.
Yeah, definitely. So, obviously we've been looking through all of the Hornby releases and we just wanted to get the point of view from another YouTuber, such as yourself. Obviously, the Cottesmore channel, those of you on the live stream, and I should probably say, we're live at the moment, please don't swear.
Yeah.
But on the
No problem, Davina.
from a YouTuber's point of view, from a modeler point of view, how did you find the Hornby releases this year?
I actually quite enjoyed them. I thought they were very varied, which makes a change. And given it's their centenary year, something in my gut tells me they've held something back. And I don't know what it is yet, but I feel like they've just held something back.
That is actually an interesting thought, because I think there's a lot of people saying, why hasn't X, Y, and Z appeared in terms of centenary models? And now that you've said that, it does make me wonder, are we going to see more of these kind of retro liveries perhaps turn up later in the year?
Is there a particular date Hornby actually started? I mean, it's a centenary year, but what time
Well, it's
of
just
year?
1920. I don't think there was like a particular day or anything. But I mean, do you get a sense then that there is something more?
I think that there's going to be a few surprises. I'd like to think so. I mean, like you said, that the retro boxes, if you will, are a nice thing to see. I think there's things for all ages, really, from the yellow submarine Eurostar, which will certainly attract the eye to most younger modelers, through to the rocket. Steam isn't really my thing, but there's plenty here. It's nice to see Smokey Joe back.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a Smokey Joe. I don't care how limited edition or how undetailed it is. It's one of those you have to have in your collection.
One of the interesting things, actually, just to talk about the Smokey Joe, is apart from the fact it's in, I think it's 1980s period packaging, it says that there are some separately applied details which suggest that this is something a little bit more special than the Smokey Joe of the 1980s. It talks about, I think, separately applied handrails.
Yeah, it does. I mean, from the images that I've seen, it looks a little bit more detailed, certainly along the side of the unit itself. But it's Smokey Joe at the end of the day. It's an iconic little runner that you can leave running on your layout for hours.
It was so fast, though. I used to find.
Well, they called them pocket rockets.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The moment you press go on that thing,
it was off. Yes,
it was great. Yeah.
Very much.
Good luck catching it.
Yeah, and like you say, it's a very much a bulletproof design. It will run for literally for days on end.
Yeah.
I mean, so is there anything in that list that for you've gone, my word, that is just a stroke of genius? I mean, we all know that Hornby have perhaps struggled a bit financially for a good number of years. Do you feel that this is a range that is going to turn that corner and pull them out back into the black?
I mean, I spoke about this a few times. Now Simon's back. Like I said, they've got their mojo. I mean, the APTP that was leaked a month or so ago. I think quite a few people knew that was coming. It was the most unspoken about secret in railways. What I like to see is the fact that they're reusing existing tooling, which I know quite a few people don't enjoy. But the GBRF Class 50s, for example, with new paint coming out, there's more of the Class 60s. The Class 66s in DRS Malcolm liveries. And then you're into the Class 91s, which is going head-to-head with Cavalax. And I think that's exactly where Hornby need to be right now. Yeah.
Because I know the 91's been in their range in the past, but this is a complete new tooled model. We talked a bit with Callum earlier on about Hornby are very much, rather than Bagsying a model with an announcement and then working on it, they tend to very much be working on things in secret and only announce them when they're much closer to delivery. I've already seen people online try and claim, oh, well, this is a wrecking tactic because Cavalex has announced the 91. But do you get a sense that maybe, this is something that they've been working on from probably before Cavalex had even thought about the 91?
I suppose that's something we'll never know. I mean, in all fairness, though, I feel that Cavalex and Hornby offer to two different markets. It's exactly the same with Acura Scale and Hornby now releasing the Network Rail Class 37, 97 304. In its railroad range, they're two very different detailed models. And that's, people see the same model and think, oh no, it's really bad. Well, actually, it's not. When, the Acura Scale 37 is 229, I think, DCC ready. And the Hornby one is 67.49. So there's a very big price difference, and I think that's exactly where Hornby need to be. You play to that entry market and let the other boys go and do the super detailed stuff. Yeah,
I mean, I've thought a lot of this about the Class 66 model, and we've seen a lot of new livery announcements for that in the Hornby range. And some people have suggested, they're just playing a spoiler game against the new Hattons model, but it's like you said about the 37 with the 66. They're going for a different market, and the kind of people who will buy the 66 because it's affordable from Hornby aren't people who would have otherwise been able to afford a model perhaps from Hattons.
That's it. I mean, if you take a look at the 66s, they're priced so that you can get a 66 and a TTS decoder for about £100. That's amazing value. And all you got to do is add a bit of weight to the back of it because they are very light models.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, I mean, looking at even the coaching stock that they've got this year, there's some really good coaches in there. They've got the new Pendolino in Avanti West Coast, which I'm really looking forward to. That looks a stunning model. And the extra coaches to go with it for a change rather than waiting until 8 months down the line and then they think about making it. It's here and ready to go. So I think they've learned a few lessons as well. It's nice to see.
Definitely. And have you already got your pre-orders in then? Are you able to tell us what has Cottesmore got on his pre-order list from the Hornby 2020 range?
97304 John Tilley is on my pre-order range. I'm umming and ahhing about adding the Pendolino. I will say that. And I'm torn between going for the DB Class 60, either 6100 or 60062. The Class 60 model, if anyone doesn't have one, please take a look. It is an amazing model from Hornby. So either of those. It is a bit of a shame not to see a few new units, but I think, you know, in time will tell whether something comes out. The GWR Kenneth Grange power cars are also. I am very tempted by it, even though I don't model them, because they're just a stunning livery and it's a great model. And the Rocket as well. It's one of those where it sits.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because it's something that I think there's a lot of people look at that and go, I don't care, I don't model that. That is just something I have to have. I know we were talking to Callum earlier on, and he said it's very much like the Oxford Rail railgun. So many people are buying it because it's quirky, not because they particularly need it for their model.
It's one of those models where if you had a small shelf, it would absolutely sit beautifully above your layout on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah. Forget that. It's just sitting in the TMD on Weir Yard. I don't care. Rule 1.
Well, speaking of Weir Yard, I mean, you've got enough packets there to please everybody if you think about it. They're all there, I think, aren't they?
No, I don't have a complete
packets?
set of Hornby packets. I think that's Callum's territory. He's a self-confessed packet collector. I've got the initial release. I think I've got 5 W4 packets and 1 B2 packet. So I'm a little bit behind the curve of what Hornby
I've got 1.
Yeah, actually, your 1 is different to me. So between us, we've got quite a collection. But what did you make of the reintroduction of the original 1920 tin plate O-gauge trains? Did you even see that coming?
No, I didn't see it coming. And if they've got the tooling and stuff there, then use it. You know, add a bit of variety into the range. Go for it. Try it out. See if it works. There's absolutely nothing wrong with trying something out. If it doesn't work, then fine. Then leave the O gauge to the Helgens, the Dapples, etc.
I see. Well, with the O gauge, it's a duplicate of the original Hornby trains model from 1920. So it's actually, in terms of a model, it's definitely not aimed at modelers. It's very much this collector's thing. They are expensive. I believe that they're not from original tooling. That has long since gone. But they're specially bespoke made for the Centenary year. But somebody's actually said already, even at the price tag, I think it's an RRP of about £550, they are apparently starting to sell out on pre-order. So there's a lot of stuff I've found. I don't know how it struck you, but there's a lot of stuff on here I think, well played, Hornby. You know, it's kind of the genius outside the box thinking, which is how you really rescue a company.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look through, I mean, I think the APT coach prices are maybe a bit high because it's like £80 for a coach.
Yeah.
You know, but time will tell. People will pay for that because it's the ATP.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely. I mean, there are some coaches are getting very expensive. We've already passed. Sorry, I've been pointing to a comment that says, "Quick, everyone donate so Jenny can get every packet." Oh, you guys, you crack me up. But you know,
Me and Les take 10% of whatever you get while I'm on the phone. By the way, that's
10% each or 5% each.
I shouldn't jest. I made a joking comment about I'd buy a locomotive if I hit a certain mark, and then people just went, "Boom, there you go," and it's like, whoa. But I forgot what I was talking about now.
Becketts.
No, before the Pecketts. Oh, the coaches. Hornby have actually. I mean, a lot of people said, "Oh, you know, it's getting too expensive for me," but Hornby have been selling some of these very expensive coaches, things like the L&ER teak coaches and some of the Pullman coaches. People may balk at the price, but they are selling. They're selling out.
I'm just asking if the APTs are £90 each or for two.
and that's it. Again, it comes down to personal perspective. If you find it expensive, don't buy it. But if you think it's cheap, buy it.
Yeah.
So if you look at the network rail coaches, they're £32.
Yeah,
that's a great price.
There are, I mean, certainly things like the Mark 1 coaches that Hornby have brought to the market. They are more affordable. You know, there are coaches that come in across the price range. But what really tickled me is I saw a comment on Hornby's signal box release, somebody moaning about the price of those tinplate locos, and said, "Oh, why can't you release them for £15 each? Then I'd buy one." And I thought I think some members of the public have no idea what this stuff actually does cost to make. I mean, if you or I tried to make our own items of rolling stock, you would be very hard pressed to make a coach for even probably double that price to be finished to that kind of standard. I mean, the paint job alone would probably cost as much as Hornby are selling the complete coach for.
It's like me with framing. People grumble about the price of framing and they think they can do it for next to nothing, but you can with cheap materials. But if you're using proper stuff and spending time and quality workmanship on it, which Hornby have done with all of this, then you've got to be prepared to pay for everything that's gone on.
Definitely.
Well, it is like Simon said. They've had issues with suppliers, and they've changed a few suppliers to try and rectify that and to keep the detail on them. And yet, they're not the most. Some of the models here aren't the most detailed. Let's be honest, but they are perfectly adequate to run around your layout without any questions. And if you sat there counting the fact that the wagons don't have rivets down, the steel bars, then I'm sorry. Go and buy a Batman one. Go and buy a Dapple one. Something like that.
Yeah. The rivet counters,
to the point where they are. I wouldn't go that far because I know there are people that do like that detail, but my personal opinion is that they're reasonably priced for a reason. You expect a lower level of detail.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, the people are still buying the railroad model by the hundreds. So there are a lot of people for whom I guess the play value is worth far more than having all the rivets in the right place. It's our hobby is a very broad church, and there's room in it for all of us. Whether you want everything to be absolutely perfect in every detail, or whether you just want to have fun playing with trains.
That's it. I mean, I suppose the only thing I am disappointed about, like I said earlier, is the lack of units in here. But I'm sure in time we will get some more. It would be nice to see a 185 done by somebody, a 175, and those sort of things. I know they're just boxes with windows to you, Jenny, but they are, it's nice that they are catching up to the more modern stuff. I just think units get overlooked. But hey.
I mean, I've already seen online people going, "Why haven't we seen there's a class 180 or a 175?" So I think we get that every year. It's in the Steam world for a great many years we had people going, "Why no D class?" And then Rails and Daypol blew them out of the water by actually releasing it. So they've got to find another model now to moan about not having every year.
Well, this is it. Let's not forget Backman's only a month away. Till they announce what they'll release in 40 years' time. But they'll get round to it.
Still
God bless
waiting
them.
for a VEA. I think I've been waiting for a VEA since they announced that the first time round in about 2002.
Well, it's what keeps us on our toes and ordering more, doesn't it?
It is, yeah, and that's one of the things I like about Hornby is that when they announce something, it's actually, they are actually making it. It's got a lot of its development phase already done. My sense with some of the other manufacturers is that they kind of almost, it's like playing Bagsy models. If we announce it now, nobody else will come in, and then we can kind of get round to it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, even the new kids on the block, were announced. Cadillacs were announced in the '91 when it was in the drawing it on paperwork phase.
Yeah.
Whereas Hornby are here with a pretty much tooled model ready to go.
Yeah.
So fair play to them. And I suppose that's the difference between what is in essence a sole trader and a massive player in the market.
Definitely, yeah. So, I mean, overall, is this what you were expecting? Or is this better than what you were expecting, or worse?
As an average modeler, I think this is a very good release. On a personal level, like I said, I'm a little disappointed not to see so many units. But like you said earlier, Les, you can't please everyone all the time. You can please most of the people some of the time. I'm fairly happy with this range. There are things in here which I will want to buy. It's not going to get me going to Twitter and complaining.
Oh, you would never complain, would you?
No, I'd just do it on YouTube instead. But yeah, I'm happy. It's great.
Well, and also the big curveball, I guess, that Hornby have thrown, apart from those O-gauge tinplate models, is the steampunk range. What did you think when you saw that? I know a lot of people have been saying, is it April the 1st already? But I've seen the video footage that John Barber from Rails has sent me, and they're at a point where they actually look like they're ready for sale. That that range is happening.
Good for them. Like I said, if you have to evolve or you die out, and they're giving it a try.
Definitely,
and if there's demand for it, go for it, do it.
Yeah, and
it's as simple as that.
It's something I was saying earlier on. My gut feeling is that actually what they've done is almost a stroke of genius, because they're potentially tapping into a market that is currently not buying model trains. People like wargamers, all the Warhammer 40k people, the Games Workshop crowd. This is a product that, in some respects, is aimed at them, and maybe it's actually a very clever move to try and tap into a market that is not buying model railways currently. So potentially. My thoughts are that it is quite a good move.
You only have to give... Yeah, I mean, give obviously after the stream, go and give Warhammer Gaming a search and look at the numbers in comparison to model railways.
Yeah, I mean...
It far outweighs...
Yeah,
to nail it, it's great for them. It's a whole new market.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, I mean, Games Workshop have a much bigger high street presence than model shops do. Pretty much every town has a Games Workshop. I think they've rebranded to is it Warhammer or something like that. But they have and they're always busy. When you go into them, there's always people there. They've got a really good community feel, and I guess that potentially this is tapping into that market. But the other thing as well is that the Battle Space Turbo range, people always wax lyrical about that, and this is kind of a similar idea, going very oddball. And if people are waxing lyrical about Battle Space Turbo still to this day, then it shows that maybe Hornby were doing something right by thinking outside the box.
Yeah, it's the same thing that for me, I feel is like Batman going to the rut it's in, where they've consistently gone for the same models all the time, and they haven't evolved.
Yeah.
At least give them a go. And good luck to them.
Yeah, I mean, I liken it to in the gaming world when the Nintendo Wii came out. It kind of turned the market on its head, and what they actually discovered, what Nintendo discovered with that, was that the what everybody had for long considered a niche curiosity end of the market was actually bigger than the conventional market, and they ended up selling games consoles and games to people who would have never have otherwise got into gaming. And there's a part of me thinking that perhaps this is an opportunity for Hornby to do kind of the same but with model railways.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's not just that, but the Railroad Plus range as well is coming out. That's going to be amazing to have a look at. It offers people different price ranges to join in.
Yeah, and in some respects, that's what modelers have been asking for, as prices have gone up, to be able to have different price points. So I guess the idea is that you have your basic railroad range, which is a nice cheap and cheerful model that you could just play trains with. Then the Railroad Plus is starting to go more towards the finesse. And then if you want something that's all singing, all dancing, bells and whistles, you can go for the super detail range and have something that is basically a miniature masterpiece.
Yeah, it is that. It's exactly that. And good luck to Hornby. Really, I wish them well. I think it's been a great year for them, and they just now need to deliver.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a good sign if some of this stuff is already, we're looking at, it's been like 11, 12 hours since, it's coming up on 12 hours since they made the announcement. And I'm hearing word that some places are already selling out of their allocation of some of these models. That is a very good sign.
It is.
Yeah, I must admit, I've also removed myself from from my Facebook app and hidden most of the YouTube notifications today, because I know the Hornby spam has been amazing. The reaction's been huge. It's been posted everywhere.
I must admit,
so I'm not surprised.
I have to apologise for some of that. I suspect some of that was me.
And me.
But I'm looking at this on the live stream. People are saying, I've got David Watt says Hornby site just crashed again. I've been seeing that coming up all the way through the stream. That the people are still trying to log into the Hornby site in numbers that are causing it to fall over. I know the Hatton site fell over because the number of people trying to log in. The Hatton site especially. They must have a lot of server time behind that because, they are a big multi-million-pound business that primarily does their business through the internet. And yet, such was the overwhelming demand for people wanting to check out the range, it's made it fall over.
It's huge. And it shows what can happen when you get your range right.
Exactly.
That's the reflection of it.
Definitely, yeah. And, I was actually thinking earlier on today, I was looking at some of the models that Hornby brought out a few years ago when they kind of really missed what modelers want. Things like the L1 Thompson tank with all of its foibles. The Class 401 and 402 that in many respects were just far too niche. And I'm thinking, Hornby's turned a corner. They're bringing out models that people not just want, but are so excited to see that the internet's going wild with people talking about them. And, it's good to see. I don't think any of us wanted to see Hornby fail, but, 4 years ago, there was a real risk that was going to happen. So it's good to see Hornby turning it around.
Yeah, and I hate to point to one man, but it is Mr. Kohler's return that's helping them do that. He knows exactly how to run that company, and he knows the industry. And good luck to them. I'm happy to support them. I will have stuff from them over the year, and I look forward to seeing what else they bring out.
Definitely. Anyway, I'm going to let you get on because I know you said to me that you could only spare 10 minutes because you've got other things. What are you up to this evening?
I'm about to go to bed because I need to get up early for work.
That was
right.
it. You had. I can't see. I can't see the message on my phone. But look, anyway, so we're gonna let you get on. But look, thank you very much for spending the time to talk to us, and hopefully we'll get you on the live stream in person at some point in the future. But look, you take care. Thanks for sharing
I look forward
your
to
thoughts.
meeting you one day.
Oh, of
Okay.
course, you two
Yeah,
haven't
see you
met.
soon.
No. All right. Take care. I'm keeping your seat warm.
Take care, and everybody in the live stream, don't forget to go and check out the Cottesmore channel. Subscribe if you've not already subscribed, and go back and check out all of his videos. But thank you very much to Dave Jones of Cottesmore for taking the time out to talk with us. Right, what time are we on? We're coming up to 9 o'clock, so we've let's have a look. I'm going to see. I'm getting some other messages come through. Bish bash bosh. I've actually had a picture of. I would have to get the cupboard monkey in. Callum has actually sent a picture of what he was painting.
A World War One tank.
Yeah, when he was saying tanks, I was thinking tanker wagons. But at some point there'll be the sound of the cupboard monkey coming running, because she's more techno literate than me.
I need to know why some of the World War One tanks like that. Some are classed as female tanks and some are classed as male.
Oh, it's to do with the guns.
All right.
The male tanks have the big, like the 5 pound gun.
Yeah.
And the female tanks had multiple machine gun emplacements.
Oh, right.
And the idea was that they worked in partnership with each other.
other.
So the effectively the female tanks were like a mobile pillbox,
Right.
where people just like
Yeah.
firing the guns out the side, and they were more anti-personnel. The male tanks were more about dealing with
Because I
heavier
quite
emplacements.
fancy building a diorama of a World War One tank, in the mud and all this kind of stuff. Hang on, right. Warrington train spot. Hi Les, is there anything you like in the announcements? Well, I like the rocket, like quite a few people have said, but I also like shh as
The
well.
hush, hush.
So I'm tempted maybe with that, but I might have to put a pre-order in, because obviously things are going to go quickly, but I've nowhere to put it yet, so I have to just think about it at the moment. But yeah, the rocket and the hush hush are my ones. I like the Peckets as well, but I've already got one, so I'm not trying to collect a whole range of Peckets, so I'm quite happy with what I've got.
Did you get one of the W4 packets? I thought you got one of the little four-wheel ones.
Was it a little? Yeah, I think it's
Because I picked you one up from
You did,
Worley,
yeah. So
but
that's
didn't
the
you also get one of the other ones?
It's the Cadley Hill Colliery one that's here, but that's not a Pecket.
That's
not,
a Huns.
that
I've
Huns
had part of me thinking that you'd got.
I'm going to have to check because everything's in a big
Nicklaus or something in Peckett Works
in a
Green.
big plastic box. I haven't a clue what I've got at the moment.
I'll have to look into that.
Check it again.
Is
it? Actually, yes. I like transport. It is getting towards. I can stay for another quarter of an hour, but then I have to get up. My wife has to get up early as well, so this is one of the reasons.
Yeah, indoors.
Indoors.
Doesn't like him staying out too long.
That'll all change when I'm retired.
I was at David Watt says you can't finish early since I've wrote work off tonight. Can't believe you know about tanks too. Your description is correct. Oh, I know about many things. In fact, SDJR7F88 says correct with the tanks. I'd love to share with everybody that picture, but I'm not technically literate enough to be able to get it from my phone onto the computer. I need the cupboard monkey for that, and the cupboard monkey is not answering the call. I hear the creak
of the
I
stairs.
was watching someone's live streaming a new game. What's up?
We've got a picture on the phone. How do we get that up on the computer? This is very technical, isn't it? So I'm going to let me just 3. So we're just getting all technical here. We're going to share what Callum was actually working on whilst he was chatting to us. Because these are fabulous models, and Callum is a very, very good modeller.
To ring Kathy up to see what Kathy thinks.
Kathy who?
Kathy Millett.
I don't have her number.
I've got her on my Facebook page, but I don't know.
I barely talk to her, I have to say. So we're just at some point it will appear. What was it? Yeah, Callum is a very, very great modeller. I've seen some of his layouts, and we've got it up on through the miracle of technology.
Amazing.
This is what Callum was working on in his hotel room.
Are they from kits or are they scratch built?
I don't know. Is Callum? Are you still in the room? I'm just wondering. Are they scratch built or are they from kits? They're really good.
They are.
There's a part of me I do recognise the little ones. and I couldn't tell you the name. The bigger ones, they look a bit like Matildas. I'm not sure.
Pulsing.
Resin kits. They are very, very nice. I have to say, hats off to you, sir. Just don't get any paint on the carpet, or if you do, move the furniture to cover it up.
They come as a solid kit, and it's just a case of painting them up.
I don't know.
But they're excellent.
French Renault FT17s. Yes, that's it. I did recognise them. But I must admit, see, my knowledge of First World War tanks and other battle vehicles comes from playing a computer game when I was younger called History Line, 1914 to 18. But yeah, that is absolutely stunning work.
And
there.
I take it those are like 176 scale, OOHO kind of scale.
Around OO, yeah, because
compatible.
Yeah, Renault FTs and the let's just see, and the big ones are Mark 9 troop carriers. Right, I'm with you. They are fabulous models there, and a really good finish you're getting on those. I've seen some of your model railways, and they are superb. And the First World War is an interesting period to actually model, it has to be said, because there's so much interesting that you can do.
Yeah, well, they did in the GMRC in the first series, didn't they? They had quite a bit of a kind of World
War
rail division.
Video rail division.
Gun, the narrow gauge, the model plane and everything. They were very clever.
Let me just where's it gone?
What have we lost?
I've lost all my pictures.
Cupboard monkey.
What's up?
She's lost all her pictures.
What have you
No, it's all right. I can remember how to get it. Just give me a moment. There we go. Right, I'm looking for the. Somebody asked to see the picture. This was the 91. Yeah. Robert says, unfortunate for anyone who's ordered Class 91 from Cavalex. You win some, you lose some. I know in the past, Hornby ended up going head to head with Oxford Rail on the Adams Radial, and actually Oxford Rail won that race to be first. Ian Ryan, First World Wars is almost steampunk. Actually, yeah, I mean, some of the lash-ups that the military did out of necessity do kind of have that steampunk vibe, it has to be said. J. Paul Anderson says that Avalon Bungalow plus other resin buildings are all Oxfords. Are they being absorbed by Hornby? Now, excuse me, as I understand it, the guy who owns Oxford Rail has something like a 20% share in Hornby as well. So they don't own Hornby, but they have a big stake in Hornby. So I'm guessing that Hornby effectively subcontracting those items out to Oxford Rail. Jamie Smith, ain't someone else doing the Class 91? Yeah, Cavalex. This is an all-new model. When you're saying that Hornby do is make it DCC chippable and still have no lights. This is an all-new tooled model, it has to be said, of the 91. This isn't just a warm-over of the previous model. So what you're seeing there is a 3D printed pre-production sample. So effectively what they've done is they've printed off the CAD file to give it a real-world sense of what the model looks like. And that's what you're actually seeing there. So it's not come out of the mould. But it is pretty much how the model is going to look. Obviously there'll be tweaks to that, but that's a 3D printed rendition. Ian Ryan, First World War and Michael Moorcock explains steampunk. And there's a lot of steampunk things. Yeah, Michael Moorcock, I really like... Behold the Man actually is my favourite Michael Moorcock book, but Dances at the End of Time I think is another one of his. Certainly the steampunk is huge. I think it's easy to forget as like railway modelers just how big what we consider as wacky and way out there actually is. I used to do LARPing, live action role play. My particular thing was medieval stuff. Go run around the woods with foam swords. So we high fantasy stuff. So we were kind of fantasy punk, I guess. But yeah, Ian Rayan says Dances at the End of Time is my favourite. Yeah, I do have that book downstairs. just looking down some of your comments. Jamie Smith, let's hope it's a much better model class 91 then. That's good to hear, Jen. Thanks. Don't worry about it. Yeah, definitely. It's one to watch out for. And I think, Hornby are very much aware that Cavalex are bringing one to the market as well. So, in the back of their mind will be they can't afford to make a hash of it. Creeping Jane says steampunk could be a feature on the GMRS. Well, Laurie Calvert with Team Steampunk was on Series 1. So they have had steampunk on Series 1, and there was also a sort of like a steampunky themed Mars layout in one of the other heat. Yeah,
it was. Or
was it the semi-final or was it the heat? I think it was
in the semi-final.
It was a team that got through to the one of the semi-finals. David Watts, foam swords. We use proper metal ones, but they are blunt. You see, we safety first. So there's some in the back bedroom actually. I used to like it because you could run around in the woods wearing corsets, and that was my thing.
Corsets and swords.
Yeah, corset inspector. There we are from my steampunking.
Will the Hush Hush be able to be DCC?
Oh yeah, of course. And my guess is that there'll also be a TTS sound chip for that as well at some point. Jamie Smith. Oh, the old jokes are the best. Now, Elon Musk has managed to put a sound chip in his rocket. Daryl Hearn. Anyone DCC their old APT, and also is Ren DCCable? Pretty much everything is DCCable, but you just have to hardwire them essentially. So it could be done, but you need to put a bit of work in, I guess. Ian Ryan says, I used to run around the woods in corsets too, till I got caught. I knew that would tickle you.
Yeah.
I've got a real Lee Enfield rifle downstairs as well. I always wanted to do a bit of military reenactment as well, but got the uniforms too. But unfortunately, my love of food got in the way, and I got a bit too big for them. Creeping Jane, make sure the chassis is isolated. Yeah, one of the things you've got to watch out for is split chassis designs can be a bit of a nightmare to DCC chip. Right, let me just bish bash bosh. Otis JB, the steampunk stuff is interesting indeed. Something just jumped.
Where did it go?
Oh, that's why it jumped. It retracted the comment. Oh, well, I was in the process of reading that. David Watt says, I was going to ask about the rifle on your video. It is a Lee Enfield. I can't remember which mark it is. It's a former sniper's rifle. It's got the sniper bit's been taken off, and it's been sort of converted back into an ordinary rifle. It was made in 1941, saw action in the Second World War, saw action in Korea. I was told its complete military history. So it was last issued for use in Korea and was then decommissioned, it was put into store, decommissioned comparatively recently actually, when it was sold as part of a job lot to an arms dealer, my friendly local neighbourhood arms dealer. A friend of mine actually, he deals in military stuff, and he picked the best one out of the bunch, and that became mine. J94 says, have you heard about the Bachmann J72s? Yes, I have. Again, they're on my radar, but it's quite expensive. It's like £110. The E1, which is what the J72 was in Northeastern Railway days, in the Northeastern Railway Green. It's interesting, actually. They never existed in Northeastern Railway Green. This is something I learnt when speaking with Bachmann at Alexandra Palace. And what I was told was, it's not accurate. What actually happened was that they were trying to get colours from photographs, and all they had was black and white photos. And what they thought would have been Northeastern Railway Green, it turned out what they were looking at was a photograph of the E1, later J72, in photographic grey. So it never ran in the green colour. But he said by the time they found this out, it was the fastest selling pre-order.
Right.
So people wanted it. So he said, we're going to keep it in the range because it's popular.
The resin locos for steampunk already. Serious gamers won't use them. Everything is measured to the millimetre in gaming, other than cosmetics. I would have thought that they would fit in very nicely.
Let's have a look. Bish bash bosh. J. Paul Anderson. Yeah, they used the old Lee Enfields for years and years. I have to say, early 80s was when the SAS stopped using them, that the sniper variant was very, very long-lasted. Alan Reynolds. PVA J-Cloth Alan says, sorry I'm late. Does anyone know what has happened to Barry Davis's channel? I did hear some rumours about that. I believe he's for whatever reason, he's deleted it. David Watt says, no new Pullmans this year. No, actually, it's a good point. I haven't seen any. Jamie Smith, we'll be able to eat our own 3D printed models soon. What we're seeing is the start of the Star Trek replicator technology with 3D printing. Otis JB, Hattons and the corner of the market like they did with the Terriers. The toes in the water will be scared away with the price of the hobby. Smarter move, in my opinion, would have been to release cheaper four-wheelers earlier. I'm reading these comments out of order. Otis JB, the steampunk stuff is interesting indeed, but I can't imagine that there's that much of a market for, especially considering anyone just wanting to dip. It's like we said before, what you have to recognise is that they're going after kind of the Warhammer, the Games Workshop part of the market, and they outnumber us. And I'm sorry to reveal it to you, but there's more of these people than there are railway modelers.
Ironically, is a market I'm aiming towards. My son-in-law wants me to produce dioramas for this kind of market, as well as just having a model railway. So he said there is big money in that, and there are thousands and thousands of people involved in that, probably more so than in railway modelling. And that's coming from somebody that's not a railway modeller that gets involved with these things.
In all honesty, actually, there's a Games Workshop in pretty much every town and city.
Yeah.
The one in Bolton, it's in the what used to be the Shipgate Centre. It's now part of the Crompton Place. Let's have a look.
Most gamers use 156 to 148 scale, so that's slightly larger, isn't it?
Yeah, that's sort of S scale, something like that. Somerset Andy says, got to go now. Thanks for a good stream. When you mentioned the rifle, it reminded me of the Jam Eton rifles. Yes. But look, thanks for watching. It's been great to have you along. And hopefully we'll see you again next time. We've got some great videos coming out. Some of them, actually, I'm hoping to do some more Hornby themed ones. But you take care, and don't forget you can also catch up on all that you miss on YouTube afterwards. Don't forget to smash the like button, hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed already, then don't forget to subscribe as well, and you won't then miss out on all the new videos as they come up. David Watts, you're absolutely right. You'll find tabletop gamers outnumber railway modelers in the hundreds to one. I can well believe it.
Yeah. Well, maybe the steampunk, if they say that Jim Wilson's saying that O-gauge is 147, so that's nearer to the gaming model. So maybe the steampunk, this is experimental, isn't it? They may find that they might need to change the gauge on that. If it doesn't work on OO scale, maybe they'll be able to produce them in a larger scale, but they've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and I suppose the sensible thing is, double O is what they know.
Yeah.
And also they worked extensively with Laurie Calvert to develop it, and Laurie Calvert models using double O as the basis. My gut feeling is that the steampunk models will be successful.
Yeah, I think they'll just be slow start, maybe.
For me, it's if they manage to get them into places like Games Workshop, and I'm sure that they're on the case. In fact, as part of the business case for them, I suspect that that's already been worked out. Yeah, Mark Wilson. Like I said, I think Hornby has to do a deal with Games Workshop to get those into their shops. I think that is the key thing.
And YouTubers can help.
Yeah,
by
definitely.
promoting it and going on to the games sort of workshop sites and everything with these sort of images.
I mean, one of the things actually as well is I know one of my friends is an author who does do a lot of steampunk themed books. So what I might do is see if I can maybe I'll speak to him and see if I can broker a deal between him and Hornby to try and get a little bit more exposure out there. Alan Charlesworth says Games Workshop only sell their own products. Simon Kohler is very persuasive. I'm sure he can cut a deal. Wistaten Junction says, Les, did you manage to get your steam train working?
We haven't done yet, but we'll be bringing it back.
You have to bring it around. I think it's because when you hit F2 on that controller, it doesn't latch on. So what we'd have to do is actually physically hold the button and keep holding it and see if it starts smoking.
Well, what I'll do, I'll bring some of the other steam ones that have got the units in as well next time. But obviously, because of what was happening today, I didn't bring any engines round with me.
J. Paul Anderson, is it true when Hornby first did the Hogwarts Express some years ago, it more or less saved them from financial disaster? I can well believe that as a successful franchise, it would go a long way to do that. Angus's Trains, Jenny, what did you think of my newest video? Remind me which I have seen that you put a video up. With all of the Hornby stuff, I haven't watched a lot of videos from anybody's channels, it has to be said.
Russell Brenton.
But certainly, everybody do check out Angus's Trains' new video as well. But after the live stream, don't forget after the live stream, don't leave now.
I'm going to have to leave now.
Oh, right, bedtime.
Bedtime, well.
Well, I'm looking at it's coming up on 9:15. So,
I can disappear. I can just say goodbye to everybody.
Well, no, what I'm going to do is, because I did do a long live stream this morning and I've spent the day trying to broker various deals and stuff. I'm going to slink. I mean, I'm only like half an hour early slinking off. A lot of people say, no, Games Workshop won't entertain them. Never say never. There's always a first time. And I think that... I think there's a way of doing it. And remember, Games Workshop isn't the only outlet for this kind of stuff. There is a big steampunk community. Yeah. And, I think this is something... I'm going to have to speak to Montana Huron at Hornby about, setting something up.
And what's to stop there being a steampunk shop? Why does it always have
to...
There are.
They tend to be little boutique places selling lots of corsets and... They're kind of like
swords out of foam.
It's kind of what basically it's kind of like the way the goth has gone. Goth is slowly sliding into steampunk, from what I've seen, and I think steampunk has almost been born a little bit out of goth. Goth still goes on, but steampunk, cyberpunk. Lots of things with punk on the end. Diesel punk. Yeah. All of that is fairly similar. There's ways and means. And I think as well it's going to appeal to people who just want something quirky and different.
Yeah. Right, good night to Wistanton.
Brian Mosler says Games Workshop are that big they don't need us railway modelers. One of the things I have to say is that I did go into the local Games Workshop an awful lot. When we were doing the preparation for GMRC, I did a lot with Games Workshop in terms of going in there, talking to the staff, and actually getting shown the products and techniques. They taught me a lot of weathering techniques, which I didn't actually use on GMRC, but I did then use... I did the video with the Acura scale HUO hoppers, and some of those techniques are born out of what I was tutored on at Games Workshop. So, don't write them off. No. But we're going to start rounding this off. So, a big thanks to... I Like Transport. Boom! You're the man! If you'd like to support Jenny, you can do so here. I Like Transport as posted up the Patreon link, and also don't forget, if you're wanting to order up anything from the new range, then let's have a look. I was sent an actual link to share with you, but command copy. Let me just put this up. Here is a handy link for you. And hopefully that should give you a place where you can go and pre-order anything that you want from the range. If you're having difficulty finding it in your local model shop or ordering through your local model shop, then do give Rails of Sheffield a try. And a big thanks to John Barber, who passed on those videos to me. And hopefully I'll be interviewing him later in the week to get a retailer's perspective on the Hornby
There's a link there
range.
for your mugs as well.
Oh,
We
yes,
haven't
the mugs. The
monkey.
mugs. Oh, a couple of mugs we are.
Oh, yeah.
So great there. I like transport. I should really send you some books or something, some signed books. Oh yeah, that's a point. My books are still available. But good night, everyone.
Good night,
and
yes.
Well, it's been an exciting day, and a big thanks to Cottesmore, David Jones, for coming on and talking with us. Also, a big thanks to SDJR7F88 for joining us as well. And we got the perspective there from the press side of things. Also, don't forget as well to check out New Junction, who are very kind of him to pass over those photographs which we went through as well. And one day I will get you on my live stream. Oh yes, I will.
Yes, you will.
Yes. Waiting, watching, stalking.
Pounce.
But look, anyway, you all take really good care of yourself. Thank you for coming on, and also thank you very much for all the people who donated on Super Chat. And hopefully we'll see you again next time. And in the meantime, we've got
I might get a word in edgeways next time.
I kept going over to you whenever I said, and what do you think, Les? Oh, no, I'm just listening to you guys talk.
Well, I'm learning because I've been out of the industry for so many years. You know, something like this is new to me. Yeah.
But no, it's always great to have you. I think we work well as a double act.
Yes.
But look, anyway, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Look, you
Goodbye
take
to everybody.
really good care of yourselves. And this is me, Jenny Kirk, and Les Cliff here saying bye for now.
Bye-bye.